Want to be the guy everyone gravitates toward? The one whose conversations leave others feeling understood, valued, and inspired? Here's the truth. Not everyone is born with magnetic charm or naturally stellar social skills, but you can learn how to build genuine connections faster than 99% of people. By the time you finish this video, you'll have the tools to elevate your interactions and form meaningful bonds that last. Here's something that might shock you. Communication skills account for roughly 85% of your success in life. Yep, mastering this one area can unlock endless growth, both professionally and personally. The good news? Forming genuine connections isn't about surface-level charisma. It's about learning strategies that create authentic, mutual appreciation between you and others. This isn't just about being liked. It's about becoming that person others naturally turn to for advice, collaboration, or simply to share a great moment. We've boiled the process down into clear, actionable steps you can apply starting today. Whether you're navigating the dating world, climbing the corporate ladder, or simply trying to connect with friends on a deeper level, every tip here will help you stand out. Let's get into it. The importance of social skills. If you want to unlock your full potential in life, the answer isn't buried in some abstract mystery. It's simple and clear as day. Your social skills are the key. Imagine the leaders you admire most, the people who command attention when they walk into a room or who inspire others to take action. What's the one thing they all have in common? It's not just intelligence or charisma, it's their ability to connect with others effectively. Here's the thing. Social skills aren't just about being nice or knowing how to talk to people. They are about understanding how to build bridges between yourself and others, whether in the workplace, at social gatherings, or even with strangers. Communication lies at the heart of any meaningful interaction. Research has shown that 85% of your success in life comes down to your ability to effectively communicate and build relationships. That's nearly everything. Compare that to technical skills or pure intelligence, and you'll see how much interpersonal capabilities truly surpass all else. The most influential people, think CEOs, entrepreneurs, and even thought leaders, leverage their social competence like a superpower. It's what enables them to rally their team toward a common goal, negotiate high-stakes deals, and even turn competitors into allies. They know how to adapt their tone, read the room, and make others feel genuinely heard. The best part? These traits don't belong to an exclusive club. Anyone can develop them. Treat social skills like training a muscle. Through practice, feedback, and repetition, you can significantly strengthen your abilities. And once you do, you won't just notice it in your professional life. Your friendships, romantic relationships, and even casual day-to-day interactions will transform. The instinct for value. At the core of every human being lies an undeniable need. We all crave a sense of value. It's a basic instinct, deeply rooted in our psychology. When others make us feel important, appreciated, or significant, we light up. It's this powerful emotion that you need to learn to tap into if you want to develop meaningful and lasting connections. Most folks make a crucial mistake when approaching conversations. They focus entirely on themselves. Maybe they want to share their story, highlight their achievements, or make an impression. But here's the magic trick to standing out. Shift your focus outward. When you make it your mission to amplify someone else's value, you're doing more than just being nice or polite. You're fulfilling a psychological need they might not even fully realize they have. For example, complimenting someone on their unique ideas or genuinely appreciating their viewpoint helps them feel seen. This skill doesn't just apply to friendships or personal relationships. Imagine you approach a coworker and express, "Your way of structuring that project really made a difference for the team. I genuinely respect how effective you are." Simple, right? Yet such small acknowledgments hit differently because they satisfy that instinct for value. People who feel appreciated tend to engage more and trust you faster. And here's the kicker. It works with everyone. Whether you're talking to a friend, networking at an event, or starting a conversation with someone new, your intentionality in making them feel valued will set you apart in ways you can't imagine. Positive manipulation. Through value holdup, Before you tune out because of the word manipulation, hear this out. What if manipulation wasn't about being cunning or deceitful, but about empowering others through uplifting their strengths? That's what positive manipulation is all about. Encourage, elevate, and leave the people around you better than you found them. It's a win-win because when they thrive, your connection strengthens. A prime example of this is when individuals feel stuck or undervalued until someone identifies and highlights their potential. Imagine a quiet colleague who never speaks up during meetings. If, after a presentation, you pointed out their brilliant idea and said, "You're really insightful. It would be great to hear more of your thoughts." It's a game changer. Not only do they feel noticed, but your encouragement might push them to step into a bigger role. This principle extends to friendships too. Say you have a friend who's been crushing their fitness goals, but they don't talk much about their achievements. A small acknowledgement like, "Your discipline is incredible. You're seriously inspiring," locks in that trust and admiration. When you leverage positive manipulation, you're not just handing out compliments, you're planting seeds of belief in someone else's value. And as people grow into that belief, they credit you for seeing it in them first. This strategy doesn't just solidify bonds, it builds unshakable loyalty. The golden rule of influence: people will forget what you said, what you did, and maybe even how you looked, but they will never forget how you made them feel. That's why the golden rule of influence is making others feel like they genuinely mattered during their interactions with you. This single, conscious practice elevates how people view you and takes your connections to levels most people struggle to reach. Think about it. When was the last time someone made you feel like you'd left a lasting impression on them? Maybe they told you they learned something from your advice or made a note about how uniquely you handled challenging situations. That feeling of being seen and appreciated doesn't just go away. It stays with you, making the person who saw you in that light unforgettable. Now flip it. You can provide this exact experience to others by focusing on their distinct traits, ideas, or even the passion they show while speaking about something they care about. Shifting the spotlight to the other person requires you to be fully engaged, curious, and genuinely interested in what they bring to the table. By doing so, you'll foster interactions that leave people eager to return the favor. The goal isn't flattery or gimmicks, it's to make it personal. Whether it's a follow-up message like, "I loved hearing your perspective on topic. It really shifted how I think about it." Or a simple nod of, "You've given me so much to consider." It's about letting people know that their presence mattered to you. Conversation techniques. Focus on them. Here's a conversational truth. Bomb. The best way to connect with people is to make it all about them. Sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? After all, wouldn't sharing your own ideas, interests, or achievements make people more interested in you? Nope. The real magic happens when you take the focus off yourself and create room for others to shine. Start by being deeply curious about their world. If someone casually mentions they just got back from a trip, don't breeze past it. Instead, ask, "What was the highlight of your vacation?" Or, "What made you choose that destination?" These simple but intentional questions show you're not just listening, you're invested. And once you get people talking about what excites them, they'll likely open up more and, you guessed it, start associating you with that feel-good energy. But what about stagnant conversations that don't seem to go anywhere? This is where steering the dialogue becomes a subtle superpower. When things get too surface level, gently guide the talk toward their personal preferences or unique experiences. Saying something like, "What's been keeping you motivated lately?" Or, "What's a project you're proud of this year?" shifts the context, making the interaction deeper and more meaningful. People love to feel like experts in their own stories, and you, as the guide of that conversation, make it happen. Listening actively. Listening actively isn't just about letting someone else speak. It's about giving them your full attention. And it's rare because, let's be honest, most people spend conversations waiting for their turn to talk. But when you practice active listening, you stand out. You create a moment where the other person feels valued and understood. 2 crucial ingredients for genuine connection. It starts with removing all distractions. Put your phone away. Stop running through your mental to-do list. Look them in the eyes and lean into the conversation. Don't underestimate how much your body language can amplify the sense that you're fully tuned in. A nod here, a smile there, and subtle verbal affirmations. "That's so interesting," or "I see what you mean," go a long way towards sustaining engagement. The real challenge comes in the form of your reactions. If you feel tempted to insert your own stories or steer the topic back to yourself, take a pause. Instead, focus on expanding their narrative. If a friend tells you about launching a side business, follow up with, "What inspired you to take that leap?" Or, "What's been the most rewarding part so far?" The goal is to lock onto their words and show that they're not just being heard, they're being absorbed. The power of silence and strength silence is confidence in its purest form. It shows self-assurance, poise, and the willingness to stand your ground, even in conversations. Yet silence is a severely underutilized tool in social dynamics. When used deliberately, it can completely shift how you're perceived by others. Here's an example. Imagine you're in a discussion, and someone interrupts you mid-thought. Instead of instantly jumping back in to reassert yourself, pause, breathe, maintain eye contact without flinching. That momentary silence speaks volumes, telling the room you're not desperate to rush or overcompensate to prove your importance. Silence allows for tension to settle, for respect to rise, and for the other party to recalibrate. But don't confuse silence with passivity. If you face repeated interruptions or dismissals, handle it with calm assertiveness. Try saying, "I'd like to finish my point first. Can we come back to yours afterward?" This balanced response reinforces boundaries while keeping the conversation civil. Silence works best when paired with composure and clarity. It reminds people that your value doesn't depend on constant validation. It comes from the quiet confidence you carry within. By integrating silence into your conversational skill set, you exude a type of strength that few people ever master, and that is magnetic, acceptance and valuing others for who they are. Think for a moment about the people you connect with best. Are they the ones who criticize you or try to push you to change without your input? Probably not. One of the most valuable traits in building genuine connections is the ability to accept people for who they truly are, flaws and all. It sounds simple, but in practice, it requires intentional effort and self-awareness. The world isn't black and white, and neither are people. Every individual brings a mix of perspectives, experiences, and quirks to the table. Some of these traits might not align with your own worldview. But here's the truth. You don't need everyone to think, act, or believe exactly like you. Instead, when you approach relationships with an attitude of empathy and understanding, something incredible happens. You create a safe space where people can exist authentically, without the fear of judgment or the pressure to morph into someone they're not. Often, we fall into what's called the fixer mindset. You notice a friend's tendency to procrastinate, or a colleague's poor presentation skills, and your immediate instinct is to help fix them. While the intention might be good, unsolicited advice often lands poorly and makes people feel criticized rather than supported. When you find yourself reaching for the advice card, pause and ask yourself, have they actively invited my perspective? If not, hold back. Some of the strongest relationships stem not from offering solutions, but from providing silent, steady companionship. Accepting people as they are, instead of trying to shape them to your expectations, fosters trust and drives deeper connections. When people feel truly seen and accepted, they lower their guard, becoming more vulnerable and open with you. It's through this space of acceptance that authentic connection is born. The danger of correcting others. We've all been guilty of it, stepping in to correct someone mid-conversation, thinking we're being helpful. Maybe it's an incorrect date, a wrongly attributed quote, or even a classic mix-up of similar terms. But here's the kicker. Constantly correcting people doesn't bridge gaps, it creates distance. Think about how you feel when someone calls you out unnecessarily. It stings a little, doesn't it? It momentarily makes you second-guess yourself and can even create resentment. Now think about how often we do this without realizing it. For example, if someone says, "I watched that movie last year in March, but you know it premiered in April," does that minor detail really matter? Correcting the tiny misstep adds no value to the conversation, but it subtly undermines the person you're speaking with, and that can chip away at trust over time. To break this habit, pause and reflect before jumping in to correct someone.
Is the correction just for your sake, or does it genuinely enhance understanding or solve a problem? If the former, it's better to say nothing at all. And if you do need to step in for clarity, approach it with tact.
Instead of saying, "Actually, you're wrong," try framing it collaboratively like, "Oh, I remember it a little differently. What do you think about this perspective?" This method softens the correction and turns it into a dialogue rather than a critique. The bottom line is this: people appreciate grace far more than precision. Reserve corrections for moments where they're genuinely necessary, and even in those cases, handle them with care. This habit alone can drastically improve your interpersonal connections. Creating opportunities for admiration. Admiration is one of the strongest currencies in human relationships. When people feel truly seen and celebrated for what they bring to the table, their connection with you deepens almost instantly. Here's how you can consciously create more opportunities to admire others and, in turn, strengthen your bonds. Start with curiosity. Ask questions that uncover a person's strengths or passions. If a friend mentions they've been experimenting with photography, don't just leave it as casual small talk. Probe deeper. Ask things like, "What inspired you to pick up a camera?" Or, "What's been your favorite photo you've taken so far?" These questions not only highlight their interests, but also give them the space to share what they're proud of, making them feel appreciated. Next, when you notice something admirable, don't hold back from verbalizing it. For instance, if a colleague nails a presentation or a friend shows support in a tough moment, point it out specifically. Instead of a vague, "Great job, go," for something more personal like, "Your presentation was so clear and engaging, it's obvious how much effort you put into pulling it together." The specificity makes the compliment feel heartfelt and leaves a lasting impression. Admiration doesn't have to rely solely on grand achievements either. Celebrating the small, everyday wins matters just as much. A simple, "I love your creativity," or "You're always so thoughtful, it means a lot," can make someone's day more than you realize. By offering admiration freely and sincerely, you create an environment of positivity and mutual respect that nurtures more profound connections. Treat everyone with respect. Respect isn't just about etiquette or formality. It's about acknowledging the humanity in every person you meet. Whether it's a CEO, a barista, or the person holding the door open for you, treating people with dignity reflects not just on them, but on you. And here's the truth: showing consistent respect will open more doors than any amount of skill, charm, or intelligence alone. Unfortunately, it's easy to slip into a judgmental mindset, where you unconsciously rank people based on titles, appearances, or immediate impressions. But the danger in this approach is that you automatically limit opportunities for connection. How often have you dismissed someone only to later discover their incredible story, skill, or insight that could have enriched your life? Respect starts with simple actions: smiling warmly, using someone's name in conversation, or offering your full attention when they're speaking.
But more than just gestures, it also means withholding judgment during disagreements or tense moments. Instead of reacting in frustration, prove your respect by listening carefully and responding thoughtfully, even if the other person doesn't share your opinion.
It's important to remember that respect is a two-way street. The more goodwill you extend to others, the more likely they are to treat you with equal grace. And over time, this mindset fosters trust and loyalty, forming the bedrock of strong, genuine relationships. Improving social skills with practice. The idea that charisma is a natural gift is one of the biggest myths out there. Social skills, like public speaking, cooking, or playing the guitar, are a learned ability. They're built through repetition, feedback, and a willingness to grow. And the sooner you realize this, the sooner you can start honing one of life's most impactful talents. Begin with manageable daily goals. For instance, make it a point to engage in at least one meaningful interaction every day. Whether that means sharing a genuine compliment with a stranger or striking up a short conversation with an acquaintance doesn't matter. The key is in doing it. Over time, these small moments accumulate into a stronger confidence base. Don't shy away from seeking feedback either. If you're unsure of how you come across, connect with a trusted friend or mentor who can give you honest yet constructive insight. Do you unintentionally dominate conversations? Are there nonverbal habits you can improve, like posture or eye contact? This type of proactive growth mindset sets you apart and fast-tracks your development into a socially skilled powerhouse.
These are learnable traits, and through consistent practice, you'll find yourself naturally building rapport, holding more engaging conversations, and leaving a stronger, more authentic impression wherever you go. The myth of being yourself, just.
Be yourself is one of the most overused and least helpful pieces of advice you'll hear in the realm of personal development. Of course, authenticity is valuable, but here's the thing. Being the most authentic version of yourself often requires growth. Staying firmly inside the bubble of who you currently are can stunt the potential connections waiting for you outside of it. Instead of relying on who you naturally are today, focus on who you're working to become. Think of this as upgrading your social software. Just like an athlete remasters their body through training or an artist refines their style through experimentation, becoming socially adept requires stepping out of old habits and trying new approaches. For example, if you're naturally reserved, but want to start making stronger first impressions, lean into developing friendly conversation openers, even if it feels unnatural at first. Growth isn't about pretending to be someone else. It's about enhancing your strengths while retiring unhelpful behaviors. And the more you explore these changes, the more aligned they'll feel with your true self. Being yourself is the goal, but being an evolved, better, and more confident version of yourself is where the true magic lies. Wrapping up building genuine connections faster than 99% of people isn't some elusive art reserved for a select few. It's a learned skill, a combination of mindset shifts, intentional actions, and finding ways to bring out the best in others. By focusing on making people feel valued, listening actively, and practicing positive habits, you'll become the kind of person who inspires loyalty, trust, and admiration wherever you go. Your relationships, whether personal or professional, are your greatest asset. Start applying these insights today and watch the quality of your connections soar to new heights. The tools are in your hands. It's time to use them.